Solitude often arrives as a quiet verdict, pronounced not with a courtroom gavel, but with a patient, unanswerable question. What becomes of a mind when the hum of company falls away? In a culture that prizes noise, likes, comments, crowded rooms, the solitary life can feel like an anomaly, a flickering anomaly in a world that measures worth by visibility. Yet there is a gravity here that cannot be ignored, a reckoning that unfolds not in the glare of attention, but in the stillness where thoughts finally come home. To be alone is not merely to be physically apart. It is to inhabit a mental terrain where the self is both witness and subject. The mind, unburdened from the drumbeat of social expectation, starts to measure its own edges with uncommon honesty. In this space, fear reveals its true face, not the fear of others, but the fear of what might be discovered about oneself when no one is watching. The solitary individual learns to hear their own heartbeat as a drumline, their breath as a steady metronome, counting out the minutes until meaning takes shape. The terror and beauty of this reckoning lie in how sharply truth lands when it is unadorned. Social surfaces crumble under the weight of unfiltered thought. The mind confronts questions it might never voice aloud. Am I capable of sustained intimacy, of vulnerability without the safe theater of a crowd? Do I deserve love if my days are spent in the quiet echo of a room no one enters? In solitude, moral and emotional audits become unavoidable. What used to feel like choice, being alone, begins to feel like a test of character, a measure of resilience and honesty. Yet loneliness is not the sole byproduct of choosing solitude. Often it is the crucible in which a sharper, more precise intelligence is forged. When external stimulus dulls to a murmur, the inner conversation sharpens. The solitary mind crafts theories about the world with the stubbornness of a sculptor chiseling away at marble. It notices patterns others miss, the way light falls across an empty kitchen at dawn, how a street's rhythm shifts when a sudden rain arrives, the subtle gravity of a decision that remains unmade. In that stillness, insight settles with a weight that can surprise even the most socially confident among us. There is also a paradox at the heart of this existence. The fiercely private person can, against expectation, be profoundly attentive to others. Solitude is not a fortress to protect indifference, but a studio in which empathy is rehearsed, refined, and expanded. Without the noise of constant interaction, one learns to listen more intently, to parse the quiet cues, the sigh mid-sentence, the pause before a memory surfaces, the way a word lands and reveals a hidden ache. In such listening, a unique tenderness emerges, the ability to sit with someone else's hurt without rushing to fix it, to honor a boundary without withdrawing love. The cultural scripts around being alone also demand interrogation. In America, success is often framed as a public narrative of achievement, a timeline measured in milestones visible to the world. Solitude challenges that script by insisting on a different metric, that of inner alignment. It asks whether the person behind the career, behind the bright photos and the crowded weekends, is quiet enough to hear their own truth. The reckoning is not about renouncing connection, but about choosing it with intention, about setting the terms of engagement so that relationships are nourished rather than exhausted by expectation. And yet, the journey into solitude can carry a weather of fear that cannot be dismissed. The fear is not merely of loneliness, it is the fear of missing out on a life, that others seem to live with ease, of being less capable, less seen, less valuable. It's a fear that society's verdict could be final, that a life lived largely in private is a life less fully lived. The antidote, though, is not a louder world, but a more honest one, where one's commitments to others are chosen with clarity, and where time spent alone is recognized as a deliberate discipline, not a passive surrender. In time, the solitary path can reveal something deeply human, the recognition that truth lives in tension. We crave connection, and we fear it. We ache for companionship, and we treasure quiet enough to hear the heart's own weather. The reckoning of solitude is not a verdict of despair, but a clarion call to live with integrity. It's the admission that a person can be both a lover of people and a devotee of solitude, that being alone does not negate tenderness, but can intensify it by forcing us to choose, again and again, what truly deserves our attention. Perhaps the most generous act of solitude is the respect it offers others. When someone chooses to sit with their own thoughts, they model a form of self-respect that invites others to bring their own stories forward without fear of judgment. The solitary mind can become a bridge, not a barrier, when it reframes loneliness into curiosity about humanity, into a patient understanding that every life, private or public, is a chorus, not a solo. If viewers glimpse in this reckoning a warning or a warning light, let it be this: solitude should not be feared as punishment, but welcomed as a possibility. It is a doorway to courage, a workshop where the rough edges of fear are sanded into gentler resolve. It is where intelligence, when directed inward with care, can bloom clearly, quietly, and with a fidelity that shines even in the dimmest rooms. In the end, the terrifying intelligence behind being alone might be less about fear itself and more about mastery. The mastery of choosing wisely, loving deeply, and knowing with a certainty earned in stillness what truly matters. The reckoning is not a demolition of social life, but a recommitment to its most essential form: connection grounded in authenticity, offered with intention, received with honesty. If this resonates and you'd like the piece refocused, for example, more personal anecdotes, a stronger hopeful note, or sharper cultural commentary, share your preferences and I'll tailor it accordingly.